I guess I'm live. It's my first time on here live. I got one viewer so far. Who am I speaking with? Is that Ron J? What's good, my guy? Mr. Curtis just tapped in. Rolling. I see you. Strud Boxing Podcast. What's up, my guy? Just want to talk a little boxing, man. That day of reckoning was serious business. They go calling. I know, man. I've been saying that, but we're gonna get to that. But Day of Reckoning, man, it was an upset over there, major upset. But I kind of called it. I came on Tarver's take, and I kind of called it. The weigh-ins really showed me something, and I really wanted to get back on my StreamYard and let the people know that I kind of sensed that there would be an upset. I didn't know where it was coming from, but yeah, Wilder went over there and pretty much fell flat, man. I never saw um, Joe Parker having that type of dominating performance over Wilder. Wilder usually is much more aggressive and more deliberate with what he's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't sense that. I really didn't sense that. But that happens in boxing. I knew that, with that one round in 2 years was very significant. When you look at it, bro, like, um, yeah, that was very significant. And Parker had just came off of the first show over there in Saudi Arabia. He had just came off that first show. He had a good win over a contender. He stopped him inside the distance, and then he knew he was going to fight Wilder, I believe, and he started preparing right away. So he was able to put two training camps back to back, and I knew he would come in dog shape, like I said. And with Wilder traveling abroad, pretty much away. He wasn't in a home environment. So when you're looking at the A side, they took away all the A side advantages for Wilder and put him in an uncomfortable position. And when you're in a position like that, you need experience on your team. You need guys that have walked that walk before, man, to make sure that a young man like Wilder, is focused and got that type of tunnel vision going into a fight like that. But he should have had 2 months of that type of, you know, uh, energy building, for the moment for everything to come together. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to peak too soon. You want to peak on fight night, but a process has to take place in training camp in order for a fighter to be able to really hone it all and then perform on that level. So that's the type of experience that I'm trying to, hand these guys. And that's where I believe, the difference maker can be. You know what I mean? They tried everything else. Why not try something else? You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, man, that, when winning, I believe when winning becomes everything, these guys are going to really be thinking outside the box because, that's just me, man. Like I said, my experience speak for itself. And, you don't get often a fighter willing to give back like this and willing to give them gems away. You feel me? And really help these fighters by even helping build with these fighters in the trenches. That's where the real experience pay off at. But Wilder right now got to go back to the drawing board, man. They still talking about that AJ fight. I don't know, how much sense that make. But again, this boxing, everybody, right now is doing things a little bit unorthodox. So I wouldn't be surprised if, they start talking about a Wilder AJ. I don't see that fight, really giving us in the anticipation that we once had for that fight. But again, if Wilder can get back to the drawing board, man, and I don't know if that's a fight he want to take right away. But like I said, right now AJ looked so good in that fight because I thought he would even struggle, with Otto Wallin. But he really came out focused. You can see the difference when it came down to the focus, of AJ. I mean, I heard he learned about this fight a little late, considering he was the A side. But they must have had a great camp, man. I haven't seen AJ look that good, that poised. He was really, he really felt like I thought from what I was watching, it really felt like he was comfortable in there, with what he had in front of him. I don't know if that was just Otto Wallin, but, if AJ can really add on to that, really, pick back up where he left off, it's not out of the imagination that AJ could circumvent back around after Usyk and Tyson Fury, and I like Tyson Fury in that fight. He could have that fight with Tyson Fury for all the marbles, and could come the long way back, to the promised land. So that's boxing for you. But Anthony Joshua really looked good, man, and really controlling Otto Wallin. I like the way he was sticking that jab to the body. I wanted to see him come back up with that hook. You know what I'm saying? But he after that right hand to the body, he never did that. I thought that would have probably hurt Otto Wallin if he would have ever landed that shot. But condition wise, he looked like he was poised enough where he really wasn't exerting a lot of energy. And that's when these fighters really come into their own. So like I said, Joshua really showed the advancement that we were really looking for from Wilder. We really was looking from Wilder because they was working on so many things. And I thought some of that would be, would show up in the fight. But it wasn't to be. But again, the heavyweight division, man, we still got the undisputed championship coming, I think February next year. They coming right back. They staying busy. And, one thing Wilder going to need to do is get busy, man. I think all of these top fighters need to start fighting at least 2 to 3 times a year. I mean, this once every 2 years, year and a half, man, that's not good for these fighters. They'll never be able to reach their potential, with that type of inactivity. And it's running rampant in the game of boxing today. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things that they're going to have to straighten out, man. If these top fighters are out here putting it all on the line, man, we got to make it a schedule where they got to be able to at least fight 2 to 3 times a year. That's at minimum. That's at minimum when you're talking about this type of talent. And when you're looking at where boxing is today, these guys got to be visible. They got to get out there and fight. And so there has to be a platform for that. And so when you look at what they're doing over in Saudi Arabia, man, you got to commend that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're giving fighters like this opportunities to get busy and really show the world, what they're made of. And I think hats off to Gold Star Promotions, man, and all the fighters and all the promoters that are making that possible over there in Saudi Arabia. So I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to go over there for the Tyson Fury and the Ngannou fight, man, and that was amazing. They really know how to put on a show over there. It's definitely top notch. And I would advise any young fighter that can travel abroad and experience that. But the win is what's most important. You can't lose sight of that. The win is what's most important. And so these fighters got to understand that, that's what it's all about. And it's nothing wrong with losing. You know what I mean? When you put your best out on display, you feel me? When you shown up and you fought the fight, nobody's going to say anything about a fighter leaving it all out in the ring and, fighting his best fight and really giving it, his all. But, when you feel like these fighters are coming up short in the biggest moments, you got to look underneath the hood and say, what was the preparation? You feel me? Who was really telling these fighters that they were ready? And then they get out there and perform so bad. I mean, it just speaks volume, and it's not just Wilder. It's a lot of fighters are getting up there on that stage at the highest of heights and falling flat. And we've seen a lot of that this year, and it's running rapid through the business of boxing, man. And I just think, it's the energy, and I just think it's the frequency that the game is on right now, man. And it's like, it's a different time right now, but I believe, these fighters got to look really deep inside themselves, man, and find that intestinal fortitude that most of these great fighters stand on, bro. And sometimes it's self pride. You feel me? Sometimes you gotta look in the mirror, and you gotta love yourself enough to go out there, and stand on that. It's so many fighters out here are doing this bravado, but then when they get in the ring, bro, it's not showing up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to think now: is it all the actors? Everybody acting? Who really standing on that game like that, on the skill set? You feel me? And really trying to, show the scientific form of this game. And it's a beautiful game, but I think it's being lost. Man, I just don't see it being passed down. You feel me? And like I got it the honest way, bro. I had some of the best trainers in the game, and Jimmy Williams, my great trainer, don't get enough credit. And I mean, I'm telling you, the team we had in Orlando back in the day, and it was his knowledge and education and his approach to the game, man, that had us doing things technically that I see pros aren't doing today. You feel me? And that's the type of experience that I was handed down, man. And I think when I look at Jimmy Williams and all of his experience, he left us at 92 years old, man. If anybody out there know Jimmy Williams, they know what I'm talking about. If you sit with Jimmy Williams 5 minutes, man, you're gonna get a lesson in this game of boxing, And so to be raised with that type of knowledge around me and experience, man, and that's how I was able to really be successful in the game. It was that foundation, that Jimmy Williams planted long time ago. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just trying to myself give that back, man, because I think it's a generation out there of boxers that haven't had that type of energy to been touched or even have poured into them that type of energy and spirit, man, that, you know what I'm saying, like we had back in the day. So that's what it's all about, man. I really enjoyed my first Tarver's Take Live, man. I appreciate you guys' support. I hear you. And, we want to do a lot more with Tarver's Take also. Now, let's talk about this pound for pound, bruh. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to get into, because a lot of people have been saying that, Inoue should be considered a top of the pound for pound list. And myself, personally, I just can't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I can't agree with that because, not saying that Inoue is not a pound for pound talent, a type of pound for pound talent. I just believe in those smaller weight classes, there's not enough bigger names or guys that have really shown themselves. And those guys can fight too, but they just haven't had that broad audience. And we haven't seen a lot of the guys that Inoue has faced. But I'm sure that on paper and on film, he looks the part. But we won't know that what he's really made of, even just like Lomo. Lomo came over. And Lomo, even though he had very few fights, they was putting him on the top pound for pound list. But when Lomo was in there with guys like Teofimo Lopez, and in there, with guys like Devin Haney, it was shown that, even though Lomo had pound for pound talent, he wasn't necessarily on top of that pound for pound list. And I think this is a little bit premature, for Inoue. Not saying that I don't think he will eventually one day be at the top of the pound for pound list, but right now it's Terrence Crawford time, and he's earned that spot. You feel me? Just like Canelo earned that spot before him, and just like Mayweather earned that spot before him, and just like De La Hoya earned that spot before him. You know what I'm saying? I think Terrence Crawford did it the right way. he really earned it. You feel me? And now he sits out there. He don't even have a major promoter. So, I think it's our duty as boxing fans to call it like it is. We can't strip or even dilute Terrence Crawford's accomplishments this year. You know what I mean? The man fought a pound for pound champion in Errol Spence. Inoue hasn't faced that type of competition. And we see that when Terrence Crawford faced that type of caliber of competition, he was able to raise the bar. You feel me? So it's his year this year. I think he runs away with the fighter of the year as well. And when you talk about pound for pound and you look at resumes, I think even Haney can be considered pound for pound when you look at what he's done at 25 years old. Anyway, just accomplished being two-time division undisputed at 30 years old. So you know what I mean? No knock on Inoue. I just think he's in the top 5 for sure. But more than 2 or 3, 3, 2, 1, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I think Terrence Crawford definitely is number 1. And if you want to look at accomplishments, you got to really recognize Haney. But maybe Haney and Inoue may be right there. But, the young man is 31-0, 2-time undisputed. And no, 1-time undisputed. And then he went up and just captured the championship. And he did it in big fashion. You feel me? He dominated, a tough fighter. And so in Regis Prograis, we can't, really take, away from Haney's year this year too. Haney really stepped up and separated himself, even though we still got guys like Gervonta Davis out there. But again, Gervonta has to get active and he has to face these bigger names, these guys with the hardware. We want to see those fights, and hopefully we see those fights in 2024. So, with that being said, that's my take on that. You know what I mean? On the pound for pound conversation. And I hope that I explained myself thoroughly, man, because there's no knock on any of these fighters. You know what I mean? But I just know Inoue has that machine behind him, and, Crawford don't. So, when I see them trying to really draw comparisons and everything, I understand what they're doing, but that's diluting and really hurting Crawford's brand. You feel me? It really is, because he should be able to say, and everybody should be able to recognize that he's the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. And that's a title nobody wants to share, and that's just my take on that. So, hey, man, you guys been listening to Tarver's Take. I really like this platform of going live, so you're going to probably see me do that a lot more. So, let's get this subscription up too, man. Let's get these subscriptions up, man. You know how this game is. You feel me? And I definitely want to be heard. So I want to ask you guys to continue support. Follow me on all social media platforms at Antonio Tarver. Get the word out, man. Tarver's Take right here on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tapping in, and I'll talk to you soon.